Hello, all you lovely people out there. How is everyone doing? I'm Kate Hill, and I am here as always to give you the best unbiased and honest commentary on property, along with fantastic hints and tips. And today it is all about property negotiation. Myself and my esteemed colleague and expert buyer's agent, Alex, are going to share with you the 7 best tips and strategies for negotiating on property. So stay tuned for all our awesome content.
One of the top tips that I can provide is to look at the whole exercise as a sales process. As in, what I mean by that is you're actually selling your offer. So a lot of times you look at the buying process is in your one side of the transaction when everyone's selling. So we're selling our offer. And what I mean by that is you're selling the reasons why you're offering a particular price or a particular condition and so on. So you're providing reason for that, and also you're selling yourself as a buyer. So it could be the strength of your position, the strength of your ability to act fast, the fact that you've already done due diligence, or your financial position. So that's really important. To me, it's an exercise of selling yourself, selling your offer. Another tip that I can provide is to know the process, the technical process of buying property in your respective state inside and out. So when the agent comes to you and says, you've put in your offer, would you be prepared to sign a 66W, which in New South Wales is the waiving of a cooling off, for example, you can say yes or no, conversely, or alternatively go in with your offer and say, with our offer, we're willing to sign a 66W, or whatever the other aspect might be that increases the likelihood of your offer being accepted. But it's also, the property search process can be quite time consuming, but the offer and acceptance and negotiation process can be quite quick. So you need to know how to react very quickly and how to say yes or no to things, and know whether it's in your best interest to agree to certain things or disagree for that matter. Another tip on negotiation would be to first determine market value. And to me, this is absolutely critical. I would say it's the number one skill that we have as buyer's agents, to determine what something's actually worth. And I simply don't understand how you could enter negotiation without first ascertaining what the property's worth. And it's quite a skill that requires time and commitment to develop over time. So it's not something you're going to learn overnight. But at the same time, it's something that you really need to do your homework on before you enter any negotiations. And to me, that's absolutely critical in getting results. And most importantly, to make sure that you don't overpay, because that's one of the big risks when negotiating, that you get caught up or you haven't done your homework and you end up overpaying, paying too much for the property. Another tip I can provide on getting the best results when negotiating is to try and negotiate on multiple properties at any given time. And again, I'll admit this is a lot easier said than done. It can be quite difficult to have multiple properties at any given time that tick all the boxes and you like the look of and are ready to negotiate on. But if possible, it makes the process that much easier. It enables you to detach and look at the process, a little bit more removed rather than being emotionally intertwined with the hope of getting the property. When you're buying for investment purposes, it can be a little bit easier to be a bit more commercial about it and find multiple properties that tick all the boxes. It's a little bit harder to do when you're buying for owner-occupier purposes, but it can give you a distinct advantage to be looking at multiple properties and negotiating on them at any given time. Another tip that I can give you when negotiating is to know the local market inside and out. It's absolutely critical. To me, it's knowing the local market inside and out and what's actually happening. So when you're looking at buying properties, I think that it makes sense to drill down and look at case by case what's happening with individual properties. So not just reading statistics or anything like that. I'm talking about really drilling down and looking at, okay, I'm tracking certain properties and seeing what were they originally listed for, how long were they on the market, and what did they sell for, but coupled with, again, determining market value and knowing how, based on your own assessment, what they ultimately sold for. Because it is quite a minefield in terms of listing prices and ultimate sale prices and properties disappearing because they're not selling and things like that. So to me, it's really drilling down and looking at case-by-case properties at the moment. Another tip that I can give you to get the best results from negotiation is to remember that you're not actually going head-to-head with the vendor. You're actually going head-to-head with the market and other buyers. So in a lot of cases, you think, okay, I've got to outsmart the vendor or outsmart the selling agent. No, you've got to outsmart the other buyers. So when you're buying in a market that's somewhat flat or depressed, like certain pockets of Sydney are, for example, you think that you're competing with a vendor who's got certain expectations. You're competing with the other buyers that may or may not be there. So if there aren't any other buyers, and it's just a case of sticking to your guns and being patient and waiting for the seller to come to their senses and meet you where the market is. Another tip that I can give to get the best results from negotiation is to use the selling agent's agenda to your advantage. They actually want to sell you the property. Obviously, they're paid to get the best results from their vendor, but sometimes that means getting the vendor in line with where you're at as a buyer. So quite often, a selling agent, they might seem intimidating and you might be thinking of, well, they're biased, but at the same time, their job is to get the property sold and get the best results. And if you're the best buyer in the marketplace, then it's their job to get the vendor in line with where you're at.